Good afternoon, everybody. My name is Mark Vandenberg, and I'm in your AEP 858 Data Analysis and Assessment course. This is my Module 1 presentation. So just a little bit about myself, how I got into the field of education. I was actually very fortunate. My mother is a accounting professor at a college called St. Norbert College. It's located in Green Bay, Wisconsin. It's actually right where I grew up, right down the street from me. And on their campus, they have a St. Norbert Children's Center, which used to be, back when I was a kid, I was born in '93, it used to be almost a full-on daycare. And then as times changed, it turned into a pre-K program. And so when it came time for me to get my first job around 13, 14, my mom was fortunate and kind enough to get me an application at the Children's Center. And so from 13 all the way until 22, I worked at the St. Norbert Children's Center year-round. I actually attended St. Norbert my freshman year of college before moving out to Denver to attend Regis. But long story short, my job working in a daycare was what opened my eyes to how enjoyable it is to work with kids, and how that experience really guided me into choosing the field of education. So a little bit of career information. Like I said, I was born and raised in Green Bay. But when it came time to kind of move on for college, I ended up going with a Jesuit school called Regis University, which is located in Denver, Colorado. Like many of you, I'm sure you had practicum hours you had to fulfill throughout your graduate program. When I was at Regis, my undergraduate program took me to a school called Harris Park Elementary. And it's an elementary school that serves K through 5, but when you get to intermediate, 3rd, 4th, or 5th, they do what's called compartmentalizing. So they have an intermediate, 3rd, 4th, or 5th teacher do a homeroom. In my case, it was 3rd grade. We had a science and literacy block. And then we moved over to block 1, which in my case, it was a group of 3rd through 5th grade age students. So they're 3rd through 5th grade, that was their age, but they were working on level 3. So these readers were very far behind. They were not reading at grade level. In the afternoon, during our block 2, I had a group of 4th and 5th grade students, and these students were working on level 5 and level 6 targets. And so in the morning during block 1, I worked with our lower level readers who were trying to catch up to meet grade level, and then in the afternoon we had block 2, 4th and 5th grade students trying to get level 5 and 6th grade targets done. So I got to see the readers who were succeeding and the readers who really needed help. It was nice because I got to see both ends of the spectrum. And then so after my student teaching, which was also done at Harris Park, I accepted a job for that same position. And then the following year, going into year 2, a kindergarten position opened up, and I sprinted towards it. But throughout that experience, really working with 3rd, 4th, and 5th, I was stunned at how far behind some students were. And I realized that if I wanted to make myself the best asset I can for my community, it's finding a way to get those students to read on grade level. If I can be that teacher to help those students make those huge leaps and those huge jumps, I believe that I'm really doing a good thing. So when it came time for me to choose my master's program, reading specialist seemed like the most obvious answer, just because I saw such a need for reading support in my practicum, in my student teaching, and then as my first year. Our district uses an assessment called DIBELS. Every student in the district, not just at my elementary school, in the district uses DIBELS, and that tracks your reading progress. And there's certain goals that you have to hit based on kindergarten, 1st grade, 2nd grade, 3rd grade, so on and so forth. But again, guys, it was just the need for a reading specialist or for elite reading teachers that chose me to choose the reading specialist program. So our district's very, very data driven. Data is used to evaluate both teachers. It evaluates student growth. It evaluates our decisions to implement and choose curriculums that we bring into the classroom. For example, this past year when I was working with kindergarten, one skill that they seemed to lack was phonemic awareness. Being able to hear the phonemes within the words. And so based off that need, we chose to implement we chose to implement the Hegarty curriculum. And this is just a curriculum that's designed and geared to work on phonemic awareness every single day. Within your literacy block, it structures out a 15-minute session where phonemic awareness is being taught. So it's making sure that students receive that dosage of phonemic awareness every single day. And then as for measuring student progress, based off their Dibble score, these students are either progress monitored 1 or 3 times per month. One, if you're being tested once, that student's usually on grade level. If it's 3 or 2 times, those students are far behind. And through those Dibbles assessments, we kind of look at ourselves in the mirror first to figure out, okay, have my classroom practices been working? Am I getting the results? If so, great, keep moving forward with it. And if not, what do I do? What do I need to do to improve it and to tweak it? And again, guys, they're not just for teachers, they're also for students too. The way that these students perform on these Dibbles assessment, it leads them to a first grade next year, and they're either in the high group or the low group. So as a kindergarten teacher, it's really important that we figure out what Dibbles is assessing and that we make sure that they have those skills going into the upper grades. Otherwise, they'll be put into the low group, which we don't want. How I use data? Every single day we have formative and summative assessments that certainly help, but as I was speaking before, the Dibbles assessment is probably the main way that we do it. Now, because I'm a kindergarten teacher, I'm fortunate to have 2 grandparent volunteers, and so what they do is they pull kids every single month and they check to see, do they understand and can they recognize the sounds of the letters? Do they recognize the lowercase letters? Do they recognize the uppercase letters? Can they count 1 to 100? And do they recognize the quantities of numbers 1 through 20? So those are just formative and summative assessments that are used on a monthly basis in my classroom. Now the big one, and again, it might just be my district, reading, and maybe it could just be for kindergarten as well. Reading it's the big rock, it's the bulk that really, really matters. And so when we get into the second part of the year, students are given what's called a CVC assessment, consonant, vowel, consonant. So they're 3-letter words. And on this assessment, I'm on my iPad and I'm tapping the letter that they sound right. So let's say it's cat. And the student goes, k, a, t. I type on my iPad k, as they say k, a, as they say a, and t, as they say t. And we hope that they go k, at, cat, and blend it. And so they have a minute to do this test. I'm marking off which letters they know, and I'm also clicking a button if they blended it, which is obviously the end goal. But after this assessment's done, it actually goes back and it does it for you. It breaks down a list of what letters they hit right, and it gives you a list of what letters they hit wrong. And so based on the results of that assessment, I can go back and say, all right, S. Marie is a student I talked about in this case. She was mixing up the sounds V and B consistently. So I need to go back and I need to review the letters V and B with her. She also was mixing up the vowels I and E, which was preventing her from blending that full word. So these assessments right here gave me an idea of what letters she knew well and what letters I need to go back and to teach for her to master her grade level standards and for us to hit the objective.